Welcome to Night Pulse, where we delve into darkness every Tuesday and Friday night. If you enjoy an evening, or even daytime chill, please hit like and subscribe for more unsettling tales like this. Now, lower the lights, get comfortable, and let the pulse of darkness pull you in.
My name is Kenji. I work in an office tower of glass and steel in Eden City, where the lights never truly dim and even the night hums like a machine that refuses to sleep. Lately, the city had been whispering. They said there was a demon candle maker, a soulless barista whose coffee connects the living to the resentful dead, mirrors that are haunted by a woman who was buried alive, and the dead, men and women who clawed their own eyes out, claiming that something was living behind them. I told myself they were stories, urban legends to flavor the monotony, like the tale of the hidden village that appears only if it wishes to be seen. But then, my friends, Noriko and Lucas, had experienced their own horror. Noriko's ex-boyfriend had withered, not merely grown thin, but flattened, as though someone had pressed him between the pages of a book. A two-dimensional thing, a paper effigy of a man. He vanished soon after. Since then, I could not laugh so easily. So I took leave from work and boarded a train out of Eden. The mountains rose like folded green screens against the sky. Rice fields shimmered in flooded mirrors of light. The sea appeared now and then between hills, a patient gray blue. I was going to Gardenia, the town people lovingly called the Garden of Eden. Fields of flowers, heavy crops, a thriving fishing village kissed by salt wind. My grandparents lived there still, in a house that smelled of tatami and simmering broth. Before reaching their home, I cut through the bamboo forest. That was where I first saw it. A pale, translucent mist weaving between the stalks. Not drifting, weaving, twisting around the bamboo as if it knew their shape. It moved with intention. I froze. The air was warm and wet. My mind whispered, "Spirits." A gust of wind tore through the grove and the mist unraveled, scattering like breath on glass. Just fog, I told myself. Warm forest air. That night, after dinner, after nostalgic laughter and too much food, I went to sleep in the room I had used as a child, on the soft, inviting futon. When I woke, there was a coin beside my pillow. A single copper coin. Not from my wallet, not from my pocket. I recognized it immediately, and a name entered my mind. Kokkuri-san. I did not touch it. If you acknowledge something, you grant it permission. That is something you know when you are raised around superstition. I rose, dressed, and left it there. I told myself I had never seen it. Later that day, I met Shota, my childhood friend, son of my grandparents' old friends. We went to a soba and seafood diner near the coast. The sea wind carried salt and the cries of gulls through the open windows. Between mouthfuls of noodles, Shota grinned. "Remember Kokkuri-san?" The words sent a cold thread down my spine. It was a game we would play with other friends during hot summers. A spooky way to shake off the heat. A coin instead of a planchette, sliding over paper marked with letters, yes and no. We always asked the same question, when will I die? Shota and the others received different dates every time. Mine never changed. Every single time. Shota laughed now. "If Kokkuri-san's real, you've got 1 year left, Kenji." I laughed too, though it sounded wrong in my ears. "Why didn't we ever ask anything else?" I asked. He shrugged. "That's the only thing it likes to answer." Shota had always tested the unseen, tarot cards, mirror ghost summoning, the cursed elevator game, spirit box apps. Nothing ever happened. Not really. The only thing I never tried, he said lightly, was one-man hide and seek. I knew the name, but not the rules. I did not ask. We walked along the beach that night, smoking, drinking cheap beer, laughing about childhood summers. Then I saw it again. Mist, weaving low over the sand, curling between driftwood and our footprints. It vanished when I blinked. The next morning, while showering, I heard metal strike tile. When I looked, a coin lay in the center of the bathroom. Although it spooked me, I pushed the thought away. I picked it up this time and put in my pocket after I dressed. At breakfast, I mentioned Kokkuri-san. My grandmother laughed softly. She had played it too in her youth. My grandfather, however, said something that stayed with me. "It is not always the same spirit," he murmured. "Each time you summon, something answers. You never know who or what exactly." "Granddad has always been a scaredy cat," she giggled. "With good cause, Hanako-chan," he added, addressing her in a way he would have when they were young, Hanako-chan, which I found odd. I wondered if they knew something more. That is when I mentioned the mist I had seen twice already. They exchanged a look. "Everyone has noticed it," my grandmother whispered, "for a very long time. Just try not to mention it to others. You know the town avoids these things." Shota was missing by the next day. At first, no one panicked. Gardenia was small, people wandered. But by evening, concern had hardened into fear. Tatsu, a mutual friend, told me Shota had spoken of one-man hide-and-seek after meeting with me for dinner. He had grown nostalgic over our old spooky games. "He said he wanted to try it in the bamboo forest," Tatsu admitted uneasily. "Tatsu, how exactly is it played?" I asked. "You need a doll, something human-shaped. Fill it with rice, sew it shut with red thread. Name it. At 3 a.m. you pretend to hide after counting to 10. Then you find it and say, 'I found you.' After that, it's the doll's turn to seek you." He laughed. "That's all I know. Sounds pretty dumb, right? I doubt he did it though. It has too many complicated steps and rules. You know Shota hates rules." That night, I made a decision. To call on Kokkuri-san. I opened the window in my room to allow the spirits an entry point. I drew the torii gate, letters and numbers on a sheet of paper, wrote yes and no, took the coin from my pocket and placed it on top of the gate. My finger rested lightly upon it. Then I began.
"Kokkuri-san, Kokkuri-san, if you are here, move this." The coin abruptly dragged my finger to yes before I could even finish. My stomach dropped. It was already in the room with me. I wasted no time in asking, "Where is Shota?" Nothing. I asked again and again. Silence. Then I remembered that Shota said it only likes to answer one question. "When will I die?" The coin moved immediately. It spelled the same date, 1 year from now. "Kokkuri-san, can you tell me something new?" I tried. A few moments later, the coin moved. "Yes." "Where is Shota?" Nothing. Then my grandfather's words echoed. "It's not always the same spirit." So I asked, "Kokkuri-san, who are you?" The coin moved slowly. S-H-O-T-A. I recoiled with a shudder. "Shota? You're lying." The coin moved on its own this time. H-I-D-E. Then it fell still. Hide and seek. I quickly pressed my finger back upon the coin. "Shota, where are you?" The coin shot off the paper and skidded across the tatami. When I picked it up, I felt it pulling. A faint tug, like magnetism beneath my skin. I grabbed the paper, slipped on my shoes at the Genkan, and stepped into the night. My grandparents slept. The coin pulled toward the bamboo forest, and as I stood before the dense darkness within, I could hear it. Something giggled inside, a light and thin little laugh, a child's voice. The bamboo forest swallowed sound. The moonlight fractured into thin blades between the stalks. The mist was there again, weaving, circling me. It did not feel cold. It felt urgent. The coin pulled harder in my palm. Then I saw it. A small figure darted behind a tree. My breath seized. It was child-sized, human-shaped, its limbs stiff. A doll. Its head tilted too far to one side. Its stitched mouth hung slack, red thread trailing like exposed veins. Grains of rice spilled from a tear in its cloth abdomen. Its eyes were not glass. They were wet. It giggled again. "Shota?" I whispered. The mist thickened, swirling between me and the doll as if to block it. It curled around my legs, urging me forward, away from the thing. The doll vanished behind another trunk. The coin jerked violently. Behind me, I felt it. A presence. The sound of soft cloth dragging. I turned too slowly. The doll lunged. Its small hands struck my back. Nails. No, not nails, but sharpened splinters raking through my shirt. I fell forward into damp leaves. The giggle grew shrill. It climbed onto me. Its rice-filled body was heavy and wet, pressing against my spine. Its breath smelled of stagnant water. The mist surged forward, wrapping around the doll's torso like pale arms. The air screamed, not with sound, but pressure. The doll shrieked, a warped child's cry as I rolled free. "What are you?" I whispered at the mist. The coin tore itself from my grip and shot ahead, skittering along the forest floor. It stopped at the edge of something vast. A hole. Not a simple pit, but a collapsed wound in the earth. Wide, black, breathing cold air upward. The doll clawed toward me again, dragging itself against the mist's resistance. The coin trembled at the edge, then leapt. It disappeared into the darkness. Without thinking, I crawled forward and looked down. The mist coiled tight around the doll, lifting it inch by inch, despite its thrashing. The red threads snapped and unraveled like spilled blood. With a final violent twist, the mist dragged the doll into the hole. Its giggling cut off instantly. Silence fell. The mist thinned. It lingered before me, hovering. For a moment, it felt like a hand on my shoulder. Then it descended. I do not remember climbing down. I remember earth under my nails, the smell of rot and old roots. And then, Shota. He lay at the bottom, crumpled against the wall of dirt. His body was dried, shriveled. Skin clung to bone as if years had passed. His eyes were sunken hollows, his mouth open in a scream that had long since emptied. At his side lay the torn remains of the doll. The coin rested upon his chest. I knew then. When we were children, something answered us. It had given me the same death date each time, a warning. But Shota had called something different into the forest that night, something that liked to hunt. The mist, the weaving presence had been there for years, watching, trying to protect, trying to warn. I will always believe it was the spirit we contacted as kids. They called it a terrible accident. The ground had given way beneath Shota in the dark. The forest floor is unstable in places, they said. He must have fallen. No one could explain his condition. Exposure, perhaps. Accelerated decomposition. The dead are not cremated in Gardenia. They buried him on a clear morning when the sea was quiet, placed a coin upon his closed eyes, payment for safe passage.
We call them sleep tokens. As for me, I kept the coin that had led me to Shota. It no longer moves, but sometimes at night I see a familiar mist in the streets of Eden, weaving through the city like a silent protector, watching, and I wait. Soon my promised death date will arrive. Maybe then I will meet Shota once more. If there is anything you can take away from my story, let it be this. Spirits do not always come when you call. Sometimes they have simply been there all along. And games are invitations. Be careful of who or what you invite to play with.